Welcome to the Thursday show here on the Frontline Gaming Network. My name is Paul Murphy, your host. I'm joined by Dustin Henshaw.
Hello.
And Adam Camilleri.
Howdy.
This is your weekly tournament rundown show where we cover the biggest and the best, the most exciting tournaments coming up over the weekend, getting you ready for what that meta is going to look like. I've been practicing something.
Oh.
And we can't. I'm going to show you. This is the preview of my dance. Votan. But that's next week.
We're starting off strong.
Was that like supposed to be something like Voltron or Power Rangers? That was Power Ranger-esque, I think. That was okay.
I love it. I love it. So this is the first week we are going to see, I think, demons out in full force, as in I think they're adopted for all bar one of the events we're doing this week. But then they have hit the podium this week, boys. They're actually on a faction podium. Chaos freaking demons.
Wow.
How long?
We'll see that. Well, I mean, look, demons are a popular army. I love it that they're great or maybe good in 40K. We're going to see how people are attacking it. This weekend, we're going to be talking about 3 events coming up. But before we get going into that, I want to tell you where War Games Live is going to be. He's going to be doing some streaming from Warzone Houston. Make sure you check out that network and see the tournaments going on from there. As I mentioned, this is a live show that we do each and every week at 9 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays. That part was obvious. Maybe not the time, though. We do this in front of a live audience. Come join in the chat with us if you're listening to this later on the aggregators, podcast aggregators, wherever you're getting the podcast. We really appreciate you doing it. But you might want to come and have a good time, and you could see my little dance.
Dance.
See the dance.
Yeah.
You get to hear all these. We'll see all these awesome PowerPoints that we make too. Did you know that apparently it's forbidden to sell Limburger cheese on Sundays in Houston?
What?
I did not know that.
What's this cheese?
I figured I'd throw in some random fact of Houston because that's where War Games Live Joe is, and that I just looked that up. Like I thought that I had to share that. I did not know that.
Is it too stinky cheese for Sundays?
I don't know the reason. I think it's
cool.
Oh, yeah. Infamously pungent cheese on Sundays. Apparently.
There you go. I knew it.
Look at that.
There you go.
Figured it out.
Some geniuses here in the panel here. So again, another reason to come and listen to the show.
But Warzone Houston, 111 players, 6 rounds. I did do the stats for this event, and my intent was to cover it this weekend. I didn't have the lists unlocked by the time of about an hour ago when I had to finalize what we were covering. So I did jump in and do another event instead. But we do have the faction podium there if you want to hit it, Dustin, for anybody interested.
Oh, the faction podium? I always love hitting the faction podium. So, faction podium number 1 is Necrons, and then Chaos Space Marines with second with 9. So there's 10 Necrons, 9 Chaos Space Marines, and then third, it's tied with Tyranids, Taus, Sisters, and Imperial Knights, all at 8.
Yeah, if there's anybody interested, go check it out, and please support Joe in all that he does.
Digging that healthy meta there. As I mentioned, this is on the Frontline Gaming Network, so go check out their website as well. Got all that cool, already done terrain, ready to hit the tabletop. Check it out. Very competitive looking stuff. Great way to pro up your table at home, your home game. Make it smooth, make it nice. Check them out. They're the ones helping us bring you this show. So please at least go check out the website. First event we're going to be talking about is I think. Are we covering?
No. Sorry, I left it up there because I did all the stats and I didn't want to waste it. So jump down to Last of Summer.
Yeah, so we're going to be the Last of the Summer Warhammer 3 from Thongsbridge, England, in the UK.
It's actually Last of Summer Winehammer. So I don't know if it's wine country or they have like a bunch of people walking around topping up your wine glass while you're playing Warhammer. But there we go.
This is a 50-player, 5-round event. Dustin, let me hear about that Thongs Bridge.
I'm going to hear about all this Thongs Bridge. 100% factions listed. Thank you, everybody. That's awesome to see. So the Imperial Spirit faction, there's 2 Sisters of Battle, 1 Custodes, 1 Admech, 1 Astra Militarum, 3 Grey Knights, and 2 Imperial Knights. Space Marines, there's 1 Space Wolf, 1 Ultramarine, 1 Black Templar, 1 White Scar, and 1 Iron Hands. Chaos, there's 2 Chaos Space Marines, 5 T-Suns, 3 Death Guard, 4 Demons, and 3 Renegade Knights. Xenos, there's 2 Necrons, 2 Orcs, 2 Tau. Hive Mind, there's 6 Tyranids, no GSC, tisk. Eldari, there's 1 Drukhari, 2 Harlequins, and 3 Asuriani. So that means the faction podium ends up being Tyranids topping it off with 6, T-Suns in second with 5, and then Chaos Demons in third with 4, which is, it's not like a huge bronze, but it's still Chaos Demons taking a podium spot at this event.
Yeah, I wonder how many years it's been since Demons got a podium. How long?
When was 7th edition?
Yeah, exactly right. Has it been that long since they hit a podium?
Yeah, I'm pretty
Surely
sure
there
it
was-
has been.
Some summoning spam.
Maybe there were some monster mashes for a bit.
Yeah, it's possible. Like early 9th edition, when the keepers
Yeah.
were like running trains on people, that definitely could have been a thing. But yeah, it's definitely been at least a year or two since Demons have hit a podium. Now,
Oh, yeah.
sitting on the super faction numbers there, it's actually interesting to see Chaos is over and above the most represented super faction at this event. Space Marines, I mean, Space Marines in totality have less than Tyranids. Just Tyranids have more than all of the Space Marines combined, and Eldari have all the Space Marines combined. So, well and truly, the arse is falling out of Space Marines, at least over in the UK.
Are we going to have to start actually naming out all the different chapters of Chaos Space Marines now instead of the Space Marines?
Do you want to commit? Do you want to make a rule on it? Like, if CSM is on the podium, I'll do the breakdown.
Done.
Like if they hit the
There it
podium,
is.
I'll do the breakdown.
If they hit the podium,
Yeah,
do the
seems
breakdown.
reasonable.
That seems
Yeah, it
reasonable.
does.
I like
It does.
that. Okay.
Yeah, if they're one of the most, if they're in top 3, bang, I'll do the breakdown
Done.
for us.
All right.
Because
In
it seems
Thousand
weird.
Suns and Death Guard count for this. They have to, right? And then eventually maybe World Eaters.
Sure.
But look at that,
Yeah.
Thousand Suns coming in there. That is not something we've seen out of the UK. Typically, it's a Death Card in the slot.
That's
Thousand
right.
Suns representing strong.
But is it because they can bring demons?
I do know there is at least, I think there's 2 of those 3, because I had a look to see if any of those T-Suns lists were aberrations or if any of them everyone was onto any spicy new tech. It didn't seem like anything was out of the norm for the T-Suns portion, but I think there was 2 of them that had Zinch Demons allied in. I know one of the things that Zinch Demons brings to you is that beautiful boot and scoot like Fate
It's a
Skimmer,
double
the guy in the
cast.
disc.
It's a whole nother cat. You
Fate
get
Skimmer.
a duplicate of psychic power.
Yep.
It's a whole nother tree of output. I know a lot of the time, a lot of T-Suns players have every spell. They have every spell, and they run out of casts, and they have more spells, and they want to do more damage, and so you take a whole nother tree of spells and damage. It turns out it's good, right?
Yeah, makes sense to
So-
me.
The demons, if you're following along at home, they have an ability to, if you have 25%, I think it's a power level of your
yeah.
army, then that section of your army takes on the Agent of Chaos keyword, and so it doesn't disrupt your faction rules. So you can actually work them into a Chaos faction.
Exactly right. And of course, with this weekend being the first where demons are out in force, I've pulled out a couple of demons lists in one in this event, one in the next one for your viewing pleasure. The first of which is Andy Halliwell. He's playing Chaos Demons. He's actually an undivided battalion, and he has a patrol as well. But he has every god represented in his army. And I thought this was very interesting because I thought this is where a lot of players might start. If you don't have a god that you are yourself, a worshipper of, like, you probably start with all of it and refine it from there. And I think this
Just go with everything.
Just go with everything. Take all the things you think are good and work your way through the codex like that. He's got a battalion. He has a Nurgle fly rinse. Yeah, there it is. That's what I did it for. That
Do
noise.
I have to go on a walk rant?
Yes, you do. Changecaster and Transweaver, that is one of these Slanesh Heralds. 3 units of 10 Blue Horrors, which you'll note Blue Horrors can't do actions. So he's taken the Blue Horrors because they are cheap, but you can't do actions with them. So there is a point of distinction and something he's chosen to do. 1 Exalted Flamer, 2 units of 4 Fiends, 3 units of 5 Flamers, which may become ubiquitous, and 1 unit of 6 Plague Drones. Then he has patrol with a Khorne Fly Rinse, and this guy has been kitted out to be an absolute monster in combat. I think he's got the Blade of Kings relic, and then 2 units of 10 Bloodletters. So every god's in representation. It's got a hell of a lot of wounds when you add up all the chunk. Like each flame has 3 wounds, each Plague Drone I believe has 4 or 5. All the fiends have multiple wounds. This seems like a Tyranid list.
They're trying to make it that. Just the shooting is not the same as the Tyranids. They have the Flamers, which they're really good.
Better and worse. But
I
yeah.
am
think
so
every
sick
demon
of
list-
all these Flamers that have auto +3 hits. That drives me nuts.
Demon lists are gonna probably try to find reasons to not be on the Flamers, but
Yeah.
you're gonna
Yeah.
it's gonna be tough.
It's
Yeah,
gonna be tough.
until people are proven that flamers are bad, I would expect to see min 10 in just about every damn list. Every list that's trying to go the distance. This is a good list. This is really well rounded. I love the idea of what I think it's going to be doing is the two princes sitting behind the Plague Drones. Plague Drones are possibly the best platform they have for defensive buffs, as in you can take that one to such a level of defensibility and because they have such a big squad, that you can really body up behind that. You can use that to kind of bully presence, and then you can just have all these like 3-mans, 5-mans, all the horrors and the letters and the fiends and everything, just playing the periphery and going and sniping people here, there, and everywhere. I actually quite like this, and it's a list without a locus, unless it's the Transweaver. I thought it was the Harp Lady who gives you the locus for
I
Slanesh.
don't think Transweaver has
Yeah,
warp locus.
I don't believe it is the one with the warp locus. So there's no warp locus. So it's the deep strike. The best they're going to do is your leadership, which they still can negative a bunch too. So there is a lot of agency there. But yeah, really cool list, and I'm very happy Andy's bringing it. Next up, we have Paul Martin, who I saw this list and I'm like, you're in the show. He's playing Orcs, Evil Sons, and I've just coined a term, Greengade. So it's a brigade of greenskins. And he took a brigade, so I'm like, cool, you're on the show. Nob on Smasher Squig, Beast Boss on Squigosaur, 2 Weird Boys, 4 units of 15 Beast Snagger Boys, 2 units of Gretchen, 3 units of 5 Commandos, 3 units of 6 Squighog Boys, 2 units of 10 Storm Boys, and 3 single mech guns. That's a lot
like all
of
the
boys.
Squighog Boys, 100%. I think
me
the Weird
too.
Boys, good choice. Let me tell you why I say that, because it opens up secondaries. You've got a nice perimeter that you can push out in the center, so you can get up there and use their close range stuff, do the secondaries, do some interrogation, do some warp rituals. You got a backup warp ritual, and just in case that's the best option for you, with the second psyker, and again, it opens up some psychic powers. This list's gonna hit hard.
It's got, I think it's got somewhere in the region of 120 boys when it's all totaled up. I think it's about 115, 120 when you tally it all together. It's a lot of toughness 5 or toughness 6 that he's just throwing down your throat. I looked at this list and I'm like, is this just better as Goths? Like, is this just better as Goths? Or is he counting on the fact he's got no transports, got no trucks, so it needs to be Evil Sons to close the gap quicker?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is made to be as hard aggro as possible. So Evil Sons in his mind is like, I need this, just those extra inches, they make the difference.
Just go faster.
Just go faster. You can just paint everything red. I mean, you could just do that, but
seems like this is covered.
really, really like this list, and this is a list I'm happy to see in what I think is the melee trading meta. Like, this list actually looks quietly not bad into Necrons.
This is like walk in turn 1. This is. I mean, there is a bunch here that just I've got my 3 mech guns. I've committed basically nothing to holding my backfield, and now you have to deal with 1,850 points worth of stuff, and me scoring a bunch of points.
Yeah, waves and waves. I like it a lot, actually. Jumping down into the last one we're doing for this one. This is Patrick Easingwood. He's playing Adeptus Astartes Iron Hands, single battalion, and this is just a nice extreme Iron Hands list. 2 Tech Marines, 2 units of 5 Assault Intercessors, and 5 Infiltrators. I do believe everyone needs to stop taking their 5 Incursors and start taking them as Infiltrators, because demons exist. 3 Leviathan Dreads. 3 Redemptor Dreads, 3 single land speeders, and 2 units of 4 servitors. So
everyone forgets about the servitors. That's the thing, is that people forget about the servitors and the fact that, oh no, they basically do nothing except score you points. The same thing I was talking about. Easy to forget. They're just hanging out somewhere.
Who's got time?
Yeah.
Who's got time for the servitors?
They hide really well, with obscuring terrain. They can basically be in. I mean, they're on 25mm bases, which the rest of your army is. This is not. On 25mm bases, they're basically invisible. Again, in no time to deal with them.
That means they can actually go forward with the Dreadnoughts, which is good, because I feel like Dreadnoughts need to be used aggressively.
Absolutely right. Is it weird that I look at this list and I see a better and worse Knight list at the same time? Like, it's better than a Knight list in some ways, worse than a Knight list in some ways. And it's really cool. It's really kind of cool. I like it a lot. Like, you put 2 Redemptors together, and they shoot as good as a Crusader without CP, without the Mortal Wound CP. They shoot as good as a Crusader, 2 Redemptors. But you can buff those 2 Redemptors. You can buff their shooting in a lot of ways with Iron Hands that you can't with Knights.
That's a bold claim. Easier access to the healing too, with the Tech Marines basically doing it because they're just hanging out anyway.
And of course, you have all the auto wound, double exploding 6s to wound, stuff like that for Iron Hands that you don't get in a lot of other places. I mean, hell, Iron Hands I think is the only place that has that double exploding to wound on strats and things like this. So I like this a lot. Only thing I would change, I would have the character Contemptor in this. 3 Leviathans with the character Contemptor behind it. That guy is shooting every turn. He's just shooting 5 tricky turns of shooting.
Is that a forge roll unit?
Yeah, and you pay a CP for it as well. For the
the CP's not bad, especially when you're going with a battalion and doesn't we don't know what kind of frills he's purchased here. But if
Hmm.
you get a lot of value on it, I mean, there's no Space Marines don't necessarily need to rely on their command points in the first couple of turns of the game.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly right. But yeah, those are the three lists I pulled out. I wanted to see the most. I think that that demon list is actually quite well put together for people wanting to start with an all comers bit of everything demon list. I think Andy's pretty close to where I would be as well. You feel free to change it up. I mean, the only thing I'm questioning is whether not having any actions on the horrors is going to come back to bite him. Should he want to play banners? But I suppose, I mean, I think the Exalted Flamer can put up banners. I'm pretty sure his infantry, the Bloodletters, could in a pinch. But it's kind of a waste. But yeah, I think of those lists, I'm picking demons to win this one.
I would, but I'm sad there's no Bloodthirsters in it.
I'm a more of a simple man as well. I prefer 3 greater demons in every demon list.
So we'll talk about it later. But we'll talk about it now if you want. I've talked to a couple of people who've been experimenting with demons, and they've tried the Monster Mash, they've tried the MSU, they've tried the chunky mid tier demons, and they're just. A lot of people have said, well, and by a lot I mean 2 people who I know have played this have said,
That's a
100%
lot.
of the people you've talked
100%
to.
of the people, yeah.
Well, yeah. When they've said so far they've had a bunch of games with the greater demons, and they're like, I just don't feel like I have enough stuff. I play 3 greater demons, then they kill everything else, and my 3 greater demons only kill things in
Yeah.
melee. So turn 1 or turn 2, they don't kill things in melee, and my 3 greater demons can kill a total of maybe 9 things in totality for 3 greater
I think
demons.
look, this is just one filthy meta chaser, man's opinion here. But yeah, having those demons be able to go in reserve basically for free, essentially. And when you put that many wounds and that high toughness in reserve for a couple turns, you might, your whole strategy, I think, begins like, how do I just stay even on the points in the first 3 rounds of the game, and then for the final 2 rounds of the game, I just basically
Take over.
bowl
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
my opponent. And I don't know again, I have not played it enough with them in this, especially as with some of the things coming out and the tech that people are doing. But that's something I think that is an option for demon players. But still, a lot of finesse, a lot of tech was in that list we just saw, and lists like it. I'm curious to see how that's going to play out for him.
Yeah, me too. All right, what's up next, boys?
Next one we're going to be talking about is the Invasion 40K and Kristiansand, Norway, 78 players, 5-round event. We know there's some crazy things going on in this meta. What are we going to see there?
Let's see what crazy things are going on. Imperial, there's 6 Sisters of Battle, 6 Custodes, 1 Admech, 1 Astra Militarum, 1 Grey Knight, and 2 Imperial Knights. Space Marines, there's 3 Dark Angels, 1 Space Wolf, 4 Blood Angels, 1 Salamander, 2 Black Templar, 1 White Scar, 1 Imperial Fist, 1 Iron Hand. Chaos, there's 6 Chaos Space Marines, 3 T-Suns, 3 Death Guard, 3 Demons, and 4 Renegade Knights. Xenos, there's 5 Necrons, 3 Orcs, and 6 Tau. The Hive Mind, there's 7 Tyranids and 2 Gene Stealer Cult.
There you go.
Eldari, there's 1 Drukhari, 1 Harlequin, and 4 Suriani, meaning the faction podium is Tyranids, topping it off at 7. Tau, Chaos Space Marines, Sisters, and Custodes tied in second with 6. And Necrons bringing in the rear at 5.
Really interesting breakdown here. I mean, some of this stuff is just as expected, especially Tyranids being on top. Custodes making an appearance, coming in second. Is it weird that it seems like Europe? This is a norm for Europe, and only in Europe, Custodes still seem to be taken in like decent numbers.
It seems like that middle ground, like hanging out and playing that middle of the board game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that looks like what the meta is over there.
It does. It seems like everyone's going for the big wins, big losses kind of feel, or yeah. Well, actually, that is kind of the feeling. Tau still making a big. So people are of the assumption that Tau's dead. By the way, as in their
Asarani
overall...
too, by the looks of the stats we've been seeing in the last couple of tournaments, is like, do they even have the tricks anymore?
Exactly. People are saying the same things about Asirani and Tau, saying like the shooting meta is on the decline, the melee meta is coming back in, Votan, withstanding. But people saying Tau is dead because their overall win rate right now isn't that great. I think it's below 50%. But I still think Tau in the best of hands is absolutely terrifying. I've got a list from the
one
top
second
ranked...
though. I want to talk about, you mentioned win rate, and I want to say win rate is a dangerous stat.
Yeah.
What we have win rate, it is a stat. I'm curious as to what the chat thinks. I'm curious to what y'all think. But what I'm seeing with some of these factions is some great players are really supporting some of the percentages in some of these factions,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not bad. I mean, that kind of shows you, that's something that shows you, what's going on out there with some players making it work out there. But win rate, it can be deceptive.
Absolutely right. I mean, Gene Stealer Cult, to Dustin's point, had like a 64% win rate last weekend. And that was
Yeah.
off the back of like two guys just demolishing
exactly.
two events.
Needed to make sure that people understand that there was two guys doing really
Two
well
dudes.
out of the 4
Yeah.
or 5 that were attending events. Like, yes, like they had a really big win rate, but that's because two like really good G Circle players dominated people. So that can
spot
happen,
on.
right?
And that is a great stat, by the way. And also, let me you go. I'm gonna go off on a little bit of a tangent here, just for a second. Indulge me if you can, please. Is that seeing what other people are taking in their list? If you're looking for that similar success, check it out. There are things that you can incorporate and then make your game, and you'll get, if you're not performing the way that you want to with the stats are on the table, take a look at some of these other lists of what they're taking, what secondaries they're taking, what elements they've included in their list to keep up with everything that's happening out there with other list innovators.
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually a really good way to kind of get ideas to improve your list as well. In games like Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh, all those card games and stuff, I don't like net listing. For Warhammer, I actually encourage it
Me
because
too.
when you actually look at those lists, you don't just gonna put it on the table and do well with it. Especially if you look at like lists like Sean Nade makes or Eric Lathuris, but the ones that they make, you can't just put those on the table and do well with them most of the time. You have to practice them yourself and feel like get your style in there. Once you find the little gaps, okay, this is a great list, but I missed my little Berserker squad or something, so I gotta add those in. I don't know why I went Berserkers. I have Corn on the mind. Anyway.
Possibly.
Look,
or Votan, actually, yeah.
So
Berserkers are a thing.
Just putting the super faction stats from the last two events. So one of them obviously was 50 players. This one is 78. So, a good third more or 50% again on top of the numbers here. But it's interesting to see the correlation in that Chaos is the top super faction in both events, with Imperium being second. But here's an interesting thing. Eldari is the same. There's 6 players for each super faction. So very close.
What's up with Eldari? Because they, again, it's another thing. We've seen them be able to be played very capably. I mean, came in second at the Nova Open a couple of weeks ago with a non-traditional list. What I would consider.
I'm of the opinion that Harlequins are one of the best armies in the game still, and the Asuryani, if they are far behind that, if they are behind that, are not far behind that either. Like, I think they're easy, like top 8 factions in the game, possibly top 6.
Of the win rate we were just talking about, Harlequins still have a very high.
That's exactly right.
Percentage.
They're one of those armies that faction specialists are supremely dominant with that faction, like absolute murderers with it. But anyway, jumping down to some of the top players in attendance here. The first one I have here is a tower list for you. This is Rasmus Varland Fredriksson. He's ranked second in Scandinavia right now. He's playing Tau Empire, and this is Farside Enclaves. And I challenge anybody at home, anybody seeing at home who thinks they're like on the hot stuff right now, to tell me they would want to play against this list. Commander Farsight, Cadre Fireblade, and a Cold Star for the HQs, 3 units of 10 Kroot, 3 units of 5 Crisis Suits, each one with a minimum of 5 drones, 2 of them having 8 drones, and 3 units of 4 Kroot Hounds. That is the list. 15 Crisis Suits with 2 commanders and a godload of drones to keep it all ticking over turn after turn after turn. It's really intimidating to look at on paper.
Wait a second. Somebody told me that Crisis Suits weren't good anymore.
Yeah, how'd they fit 15 in the list?
Bizarre. Yeah. Crazy, right?
I thought that was impossible.
Also, really, really cool. I think we might see more Farside Enclaves in the game now, especially with the advent of Abaddon, especially with the advent of a bunch of other wound-gated models such as Bloodthirsters, because Farside Enclaves have access to the Cold Star kit that gets you around wound gating, and I think it's really important to have that available to you right now. Still a bunch of Catan kicking around. Gaz might make an appearance, but I think Farside Enclaves might be where it's at. Especially
Abaddon. Abaddon is the one that to watch right now. I think Satan are taking a back seat. We haven't seen Gaz do Gaz things in a little while, but Abaddon is going to be on lots of tables because he goes in lots of lists.
Agreed, man. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the Farsight Cold Star. I think it's possibly one of the best things that they have going for him at the moment. It's weird though, the only thing in this list that we've seen in most top tier tower lists is the bombers. But I don't know where you would find points for the bombers in this archetype. Would you have to drop a whole unit of Crisis Suits for the 2 bombers, and then would that be worth it?
You would have to, and I don't think it's worth it. I think the Crisis are better.
Neither. Yeah, I think for what this list is doing, it's just being straight savagery.
Yep.
100%. I think it's better just go all in. Oops,
That's
all
true.
crisis. Yeah.
We
Uh,
have seen folks opt in for those bombers like you were talking about because of either being able to remove them on turn one and do some things, get people guessing, figuring out what they're doing, but just the overall ferocity,
Mhm.
what you're
mm,
talking about with this list, I think
Oh, they
is
absolutely have
right
play
there.
in them. I just feel like against a lot of lists, they will go in, do their damage, and then just die. Crisis suits will go in, do their damage, and drones will die, and then they'll do their
you'll get
damage again.
exactly. Then you've got
That's a great point.
then you have a guy with a stim injector. Oh, he could just absorb a whole next turn
Yeah.
once the drone's gone. And if you just he's such a bastard. My God. Yeah, big fan of the iridium armor stim injector lad.
Mm.
But yeah, moving on to the sorry.
Let me say what's up to some folks in chat. They're absolutely saying, "Oh, boo bombers." But Joel Atkins says, that's a. Do you play Tal? Let us know what's going on. Pointing out, somebody asked, "Cuss 40K, would they miss?" The chat's filling them in as well as our production. Thanks a lot for that. Artemis Steve, great to see you. Again, we do this show live. If you do want to tune in, we got a great chat community that actually plays in part of the show, lets us know what we
Mm.
miss, helps us out with some rule stuff every now and then. Also, we get people coming from the events that we're talking about, and sometimes they even put their list in there. We get to talk about it and see what they're curious about the analysis of the event. So I want to say what's up to everybody in chat so far. Really appreciate it.
Next up for lists that we pulled out, this is Gorm Hull. And he's just a guy with an awesome name. I'm picturing
That's
like
fair.
Conan the Barbarian when I think about Gorm.
Crom.
Yeah, it's Gorm. Gorm. Uh,
Sorry.
it's all right. Chaos Demons. He's playing Zinch. He's playing Zinch Demons with Be'lakor. So and Be'lakor is technically Zinch as well. He's got a battalion in Supreme Command, like I said, with Be'lakor. He's got a Changecaster, a Flux Master, and a Lord of Change. Then he has 3 into 10 pinks, 3 Exalted Flamers, and the 3x5 regular Flamers. So 15 Flamers with 3 Exalted Flamers, playing much more of a defensive shooting game, leveraging trying to play keep away and just say, hey, can you shoot through this much 3+ super invuln? While I, dump mortals from range and Be'lakor's playing as my line defense. Can you punch through this? I love Be'lakor being used in that mode, by the way. He's so hard to shoot, and he fits into this list that is hard to shoot to a T, I think.
Technically, he's easy to shoot because he's
Yeah.
real, but
It's real big, but yeah.
he's hard to wound.
Extremely unappealing targets. And I'm of the opinion that Gorm is just going to every turn roll his fate dice and be like, -1 to wound.
Yep.
Every turn of the game, my army is -1 to the wound, unless I don't roll enough dice. He's gonna auto 15 pretty much, or auto max if it's 12, whichever psychic secondary he wants, essentially. One of the beautiful things of the Flux Master or either Changecaster, whichever one is the one on the disc, can do the spell to retain warp dice, and can go and be the guy you send out to go and do your warp ritual and bunk him on back for a couple of CP, or although I don't think they have to move again. So how does he bunk on back? Never mind. Might be talking at my ass. But yeah, cool list.
Got a lot of Zinch stuff. A lot of damage can be done. I think you're spot on with that.
Yeah, I like this. I like this list quite a lot.
And then
I think
Bellacor's a distraction. Be'lakor you can't really ignore him. And that's the trick with that. I think they've done a great job of giving him some lethality with a little bit of defense, and then just what he brings to the army. Real,
Mm.
you just want to see that cool model on the table.
Yeah, I didn't when I reviewed the book, I didn't think anybody was going to make Zinch, like mono Zinch, feel good. I think Gorm's done a pretty good job, honestly, of making mono Zinch feel pretty fleshed out. The shooting here is actually really respectable, to be honest.
Do you mean that it would be hard to make what might look like a thematic list, or just something that didn't feel too one dimensional? Like what do you mean by that?
So I thought in this meta at the moment, it's a merely trading meta. Zinch falls down because as soon as you touch them, they die. They got a 6+ in combat. They got a 3+ from range, 6+ in combat. So, funnily enough, I talked about stuff that wouldn't want to play against the tower list above. This list might be okay with that. Might just totally be okay. If the army's -1 to hit and has a 3+ invuln, like you can just have whole turns where crisis suits don't kill a unit. Like 3, you just don't kill a unit. So that can be really oppressive into some matchups. I know a lot of shooting knight armies that don't slam a lot of mortal wounds do not love this archetype. But then some others are fine. Like, if you've got a bunch of the chain cannons, you can just shoot through it. But a lot of the merely
Be'lakor
trading
is a warp locus, right?
Be'lakor is,
Yeah.
yes.
So being able to bring down all the flamers really close,
Mhm.
yeah, I think
you-
is
Well,
good.
I was about to say, people who may be unaware of what you can do with Be'lakor, you can 2 CP Be'lakor and just shunt him. Just be
Yeah.
like, Be'lakor is here now. He was here. Here's 3 Exalted Flamers, 15 Flamers. This whole half of your army, take it off the table.
So what you're talking about there is you move Bellacore 9 inches away. From anywhere on the table, back corner, somewhere behind the biggest building. You bought him some, measure of obscurement just from the terrain itself. Then you move him up 9 inches away, and then you bring everybody in because he was on the table at the start of the turn. Then you bring everybody down 6 inches away from the other folks, but opens up your targeting potentially on some units you couldn't have otherwise, and protect the rest of your army from being able to be shot.
My only issue is if you can ignore Overwatch, which is the only thing you need to be able to do in order to kill flamers in melee. Essentially, anything can kill. Like Gretchen can kill flamers in melee. If you got enough of them. But as long as you can ignore the Overwatch. If you can't ignore the Overwatch, they kill you on the charge. But 1 unit of Repentia goes in and clears up so much of this army if it makes it. And that's my only fear about that in the current meta. Like 1 unit of Sangard, 1 unit of Repentia makes it, and you lose your whole all your flamers are just gone, mate. So that's the risk reward of this style of list. So we'll see. We'll see if it holds up. All right, last one. Aspen Hodney, a man with 8 wives. I mean knives. Chaos Space Marines. He's playing World Eaters. And there's the 8. Yeah, boy. Yeah, I saw this list. And I'm like, it's in. He's playing a Winnince or a Wince for short, which is a Wind Demon Prince. It's just gonna be called a Wince from now on.
What?
He's got a Dark Apostle. Oh man, it's just you gave me such a playbook, Dustin. We're going for it.
You gotta say it like there's just nothing. It's just the way it's always been that way. You can't go back. It's always been
that way. It's just a Wince. Winged Demon Prince. Wince. It's got a Dark Apostle and a Wolfsmith. 16 cultists, divisible by 8. 3 units of 8 Zerkers. Mwah. Chest kiss. 10 Terminators.
No, what you meant to say was 8 plus 2 Terminators.
Yes, 8 plus 2 Terminators. 2 units of 8 minus 7 spawn. And a Land Raider with exactly 8 spikes on it. A Mauler Fiend with 8 Lasher Tendrils. And 2 Rhinos that somehow have 8 treads.
That's 16 wounds, so it's...
Yeah. Oh, it's true.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not 16 wounds.
It's not 16 wounds. It's like 20. It's like 18, isn't it? Yeah. It's yeah. So 10 Termies, 2 single spawn, Land Raider, Mauler Fiend, 2 Rhinos. This is a lot of fun. Yeah. I wish it was. I hope that when they get a book, this is a strong archetype. Right now, this is hilarious. Mind you, Zerkers are no joke. If they touch you, you are dead.
What is the Warpsmith doing in this list?
Making the Mauler Fiend better?
A Land Raider? I don't know.
I mean, it could be. When you got a Toughness 9 Land Raider, it's one of I guess anytime you rewind the clock on that a little bit, you've really, it's never going anywhere. I mean, that one turn that the Warpsmith buys it could make it last all 5 turns.
Well, we want to make sure the Land Raider gets as much value as possible. If it's his main shooting, probably has it with like 4 las cannons, right? That's his shooting, right?
That's his shooting. That's exactly right. The Land Raider is the only thing that will like scratch the paint on a knight from range. So that's pretty interesting.
The Wince will hide behind the Land Raider.
Well done. He absolutely will. Or behind the Termies.
The Terminators are in the Land Raider. Right?
Can 10 Termies go in a Land Raider?
Yeah.
No, because they count as 2, don't they? They count as 2, so they don't.
They should be able to, though, right? They should.
Well, if there were 8 of them and it was what is it? If it was Crusader Land Raider, then that needs 16.
Yeah, Land Raider Crusader. Yeah, that would be good. That would have 8 Termies in your. Yeah, that'd be sick.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Anyway, but looking at the Wolfsmith, right? What other HQs does he have available? You don't really want to take a Chaos Lord because you got the rerolls from the Wince. You can't take any of the Psychic ones because you're World Eaters. So what else was he going to take? So I figured the Wolfsmith. Why not? Chuck it in.
One of those demagogues or whatever, the cultist ones.
That would be cool.
I'm not saying that's a bad choice. I think when you're basically putting mileage back on the Land Raider or the Mauler Fiend in a pinch. I mean, with the Mauler Fiend up there in close combat and the guys like, I'm just healing you, basically backpacking the Mauler Fiend.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hate that.
Hey, I mean, basically, you got to remember this is a World Eaters list, so this guy knows something that we don't. I think he's got a plan.
Yeah. I mean, he's got 8 knives, right? He can't be unhappy.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, what's winning this one, boys?
So this is tough because this is a pretty rich field as far as list go or factions go.
I mean, it's hard to pick. It's hard to pick against that Tau list when it's the essentially the top player in attendance. But I don't want to easy street this. I'm going to go CSM. Let's go CSM. CSM crack a number one. I mean, they're getting a lot of podiums, but not too many first places. So first place CSM.
I'm going Salamanders.
Whoa!
I don't know if we. Yeah.
Whoa!
Is there a Salamanders?
There's one.
There is one. All right.
There's one.
He's your boy. That's it.
He just knows it.
Yeah.
I actually really like this Tau list. I like the 15 Crisis Tau.
That's fair. It's hard to pick against it, mate.
Champions of Humanity is going to pull through this one. Next event we're talking about, but actually let's do a quick ad first, and then we'll come back and talk about the New Zealand Team Championships.
At Frontline Gaming, we make the best tabletop gaming mats in the universe. Our mats are durable, rollable, foldable, wipeable, and storable. Oh, and they look damn great too. Join the thousands of tournament regulars and garage gamers who use our mats to bring their gaming surfaces to life. To ensure quality, Frontline Gaming mats are custom made one at a time, printed with high quality ink. Our immersive designs stay crisp and are available in a wide range of styles and sizes. So whether you're playing a war game or a skirmish game, whether you're fighting over an alien tundra, fantastical forest, or real-world setting, there's a great-looking battlefield for you. Our gaming mats are printed on extremely durable neoprene backing, so they won't slide around the table. And they're thick enough to stay flat, protecting what's underneath and allowing for slight uneven surfaces. We know from experience that an easily portable gaming surface is just better. Every mat comes with a sturdy nylon zip-up bag for storage and transportation. Whether your next battle is in your home or at the local game store, you'll be able to unroll your FLG mat and get gaming right away. Our products are all made and tested by passionate gamers at Frontline Gaming HQ right here in the USA. It's time to take your battlefield to a new level. Frontline Gaming, champions of tabletop.
We are back.
Whoa,
Yeah.
that was intense.
That was what you got. That's why you got to tune in live. You never know what's coming. After we're going to talk about the New Zealand Team Championship from Auckland and North Island, New Zealand. And then right after that, we've got our little palate cleanser segment we do called the Fuego Rapido, and you know you want to stay tuned for that. I'm telling you, it's all kind of things you just can't miss, and that's why you want to hang out for the whole show. So this is a 70-player, 14 teams of 5-round event. Dustin, would you mind telling us what we're going to see?
I would love to. Imperial, there is 7 Sisters of Battle, 2 Admech, 3 Astra Militarum, 1 Grey Knight, 5 Imperial Knights, Space Marines, there's 2 Dark Angels, 1 Space Wolf, 3 Blood Angels, 1 Black Templar, 1 Death Watch. Chaos, there's 3 Chaos Space Marines, 3 T-Suns, 3 Death Guard, 5 Renegade Knights. Xenos, there's 10 Necrons, 1 Orc, 3 Tau. Hive Mind, we're looking at 4 Tyranids, a single Gene Stealer Cult Hero, and then the Eldari, there's a 1 Drukari, 5 Harlequins, and 3 Suriani, which means the faction podium is Necrons, topping it off. So 10 of the 14 teams have taken Necrons, 7 of the 14 teams, so half the teams have taken Sisters of Battle.
That's low.
That is very low, actually. And then Harlequins, 5 teams have taken Harlequins. That's a lot lower than I was expecting. That seems like it's a good spread of factions then.
It's actually
really
not
good.
it's actually not a bad spread. There's actually a lot of omission, I feel like, in this spread. I mean, so I will let you know, guys know Chaos Demons didn't make the break for this one, so this is the event that Chaos Demons didn't make it into.
That means
but
the codex cut off. So the
Yeah.
new Chaos Demons codex was not available for these players to choose, and probably contributors to why we don't see more of them here.
Yeah. And larger team events tend to have a longer lead time because you want the buffer break of the week before to do the pairings process and stuff like that. So usually it's 2 weeks out will be the cutoff, which of course missed Demons by about a week and a half. This one is actually quite a nice spread. And the third most represented faction only having 5 lists means that there's so many of between like 2 and 4 that it's actually quite a beautiful spread here.
Yeah.
What was really interesting to me was that Space Marines only made second on our thing. Necrons actually have 2 more lists than all the Space Marines combined, but that's still actually pretty healthy for Space Marines at the moment. Especially when we're talking about 5-mans. In 6, 7s, 8-mans or 8 players, you see Space Marines make it in there a lot more often. With the lower ones, usually you only see the 5 best factions in the game get taken. And the fact there's a lot of variety right now just makes me feel like the game's in a pretty good place.
I'm incredibly surprised to see Adeptus Sororitas be only half the armies. I
I
expected
Mm.
75-80%
Yeah,
of the teams.
I expected the same as Necrons. Like they're
I was
considered to
expecting
be.
Tyranids to be more than 4. Like,
Mm.
wow.
Well, it is. It is interesting that a lot of learning has come out of WTC in the fact around sisters in team environments, in that sisters don't necessarily get a huge differential on people, and this is a 20-0 system that they're playing. It's not the ITC system, and that sisters get a lot of wins, but they don't dumpster people as reliably as some other lists.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's a reason there, boys.
No, that actually makes a lot of sense. Like, that was something that I definitely noticed a lot of too. Like the sisters they're just a solid list. They will constantly, at the very least, they will get a close loss at worst.
Yeah.
So they're almost like a blocker. They're like a champion list. Like, okay, we don't want anybody to fight this list. Sisters, take it out of contention, kind of thing.
Hayden in the chat says that it's a model intensive army, and that may also be contributing. To
Yeah.
that. So
Well,
we got to look at the region, and the things you're talking about, the strategy involved. All matters.
If you want to talk about hobby, well, it's not so much hobby lag, but places in the world where it's expensive to chase the meta, there's nowhere harder to chase the meta than New Zealand. Australia is a box of anything in Australia is like $100 now. A box of whatever you want is about $100 now off the shelf. It's like 20% more in New Zealand, and with sisters being like one of the newest model ranges, it would be. I can only imagine how expensive it would be to run a 2,000 point sisters.
Interesting. Although we do know that in team events, there's a lot of borrow hammer that we refer to as it players will assemble their army from their friends as well, because you can only take one per team. So even if you have 3 or 4 Adeptus Sororitas players on your team, you will only be able to take one to that event. So, but that's just something to consider. As we analyze the meta, all these things actually do add up to what you're actually going to see at the events and what you can plan to see over the next 2 or 3 weeks or so.
The defender of choice from this spread looks to be Death Guard. Death Guard having 5 lists, having 3 lists. 5 Renegade Knights and 5 Imperial Knights. Wait, am I looking at the right event? I am looking at the right event.
So.
Sorry. No, I am. I've actually missed a couple of factions here. So there's 5 Renegade Knights and 5 Imperial Knights. So there's 2 more sitting in our 3rd place on the faction podium, boys. My absolute chagrin. Apologies.
Well, 3 Death Guard there, which is, again, probably about what we expected to see. But Harlequins, we were just in the last segment talking about the win rate of Harlequins and having that be the choice for, 33% of the teams.
I'm of the opinion, and this might be a huge call. I know it is a huge call. Harlequins, I believe, if you have the right player, is the best teams list in the world.
That's hot.
Best teams list in the world. You can just do everything with them, and they only need a little bit of pairings help to get just absolute monstrous scores on people. Honestly, GSC might be the other one. But your GSC, it's so much harder to get a player where GSC can do something comparable.
But if you find one,
hold
on to that GSC player.
You do. There's a freaking diamond in the rough. But
you got all the models, and you know what all the rules are?
Draft.
Done.
Like taking auditions and you're holding up a picture of a seismic cannon. Name this
guy.
guy.
Yo, what is this?
That's right.
Dustin's actually, he's quizzed us in the show. What is this weapon? No idea.
Everybody knows what these are. That's right.
Yeah. Harlequins, in my opinion,
sure,
one of the best, if not the best teams army in the game, because you just need a little bit of pairings and they go and just give you monster wins. But moving on to some of the top teams in attendance, I have a couple of friends over in these ones. The lovely Steve Joel is in our third team that we're going to be unpacking. But the first of these is called Confused Screaming, is their team name, and their 5-pack sits at thus: Tyranids, Leviathan, good stuff, whatever. Renegade Knights, which is Herpatrax, all little knights. That's 13 little knights. Assyriani. Hail of Doom with extra psychic MSU. So he's got 2 councils and 2 Farseers on bike. In addition, it's got Avatar and Baharoth. Then we have Drukari, which is Blackheart Artists and Test of Skill Precise Killers. Just a bunch of boats, 2 Ravagers.
I actually like the Blackheart too. I mean, with that, the ability to lock down opponent stratagems kind of thing, it's pretty good.
And then we have a Necrons list, which is expansions and conquerors, of course, single Catan and extra destroyers. That's pretty much it makes up those archetypes. This is pretty much what I'd expect. The only real outlier here is the Drakari, making it into this 5-pack. If you had the Drakari out, Harlequins in, this would be almost a perfect spread for me.
With the Necrons too, and then destroyers, that's what we saw. Getting that little bit of shooting in, the Satan going down. What was traditionally 2 Satan going down to 1 to add the destroyers in. I think what we've seen is actually like even maybe consider leaving the Satan at home and going with more of those just point scoring units. So it seems like they've made a nice little compromise right here. Probably going to do very well for them.
I
feel like all these lists actually they all score well, so they are all actually going to be able to get those differentials when they need them, or play conservatively if they're in one of their harder matchups, and then if they need to push, they all have the ability to do that. So it's a solid team for that.
13 Little Knights, there's some carnivores in there. There's going to be a lot of 17-inch movements coming turn 1. It is this can be real aggressive, close out. Nobody wants to face anything in this army or this team list.
Exactly right. I do really like the Halo Doom in the teams events now. I think Halo Doom might be falling off. I like Ulthway better now, and possibly even Baltan better now in singles. But yeah, in Halo Doom in the teams, when you can dodge a little bit of the pairings, it can do a lot of great work for you. So
what you're talking about with the pairings, for those that may be unfamiliar with the team event or tuning in for your first time, we get late to cover a lot of team events because they're just so fun. But one of the things that we're talking about getting help was the pairings. Is that the captains or the teams themselves have some influence as to what they put out to have the other team pair against. And so you can, with a little bit of luck and a little bit of guile, maybe arrange some favorable matchups for your list, especially if you think there are better or worse matchups in your opponent's roster.
Exactly right. Next team we're going to be unpacking is Kraken Wargaming. Check out the Kraken Wargaming podcast. I think we've got Hayden Korak in the chat, who is playing the Harlequins list. And this one, he's just said a lot of pressure on myself now that Adam has said that crap about Harlequins, and I'm playing Harlequins. Indeed, you are correct, sir. I think I'm playing on a team with
win rate. That means there's 50% loss rate.
That's exactly true. Right. Half and half, 50-50. You're good.
In 2 weeks, I'm playing on a team with Hayden. So, Hayden, chop chop, mate. Impress.
Hand of Destiny, buddy.
So we've got Sisters of Battle in this 5-pack. Bloody Rose, good stuff. It's what you'd expect. Why would you take anything else in the team's event? Necrons, Expansionists, and Conquerors. Double Catan, double Doomscythe in this one. Interesting one. Tyranids, Leviathan, good stuff. Harlequins, this is Hayden's list. It's Oops, all troops in check notes boats. So it's 9 troops in 9 boats, or is it 8 boats? It's just there it is, and a bunch of characters.
I do actually like that consistency and redundancy. It's like what everything does. You only have to devote that part of your brain to remembering 3 stat lines.
And what we've learned a lot from I don't know if you guys followed much of the WTC, but Team Poland had this is pretty much the Team Poland list, I believe, or close to that archetype. And Team Poland was using their like, okay, we can just throw it up into everything, it'll get points. And then the Polish Harlequin player was going out and just flat tabling people because he was like, well, I'm light, here's 9 boats full of killy bastards in your face turn 1, and I reckon you can kill about 4, so GG, it's over. And that's exactly what happened. And last list of this 5-pack is the GSC list, and in the notes I've written I'm not writing out the traits because it's Eric's WTC list, which means it's accustomed to toil and war combo and all that crap. It's too much to write, couldn't be bothered.
Dustin could just tell us too.
Exactly.
So if we needed it in a pinch.
I absolutely could. It's 30 bikes, 10 gene stealers. It's got 2 groups of 5 basic acolytes. But it's the mini transhuman, the industrial affinities, so ignoring all modifiers. The 6 to wound in combat are an extra AP.
Yep.
And all the bikes and all the vehicles
drafted. He knows the rules. You got the models.
Drafted. I got
Dustin, I need you on the team.
Got it.
This is why I didn't write it down. There wasn't any point.
There's more too, but yeah.
This is an extremely good 5-pack. The only one I question is the Necron list, because I just don't like Doomscythes or double Catan at the moment. That's just my personal take. If their players are very comfortable on that archetype, so much the better. I'm not in love with that style. I just like the Necron stuff build. The only difference is that stuff build gets the hundreds but doesn't get the differential. So he might be playing this because it gets him a better differential for the style of play that he has.
So in terms of the factions this team is taking, the best, like hands down.
Yeah, hands down.
In my opinion, the best.
Yeah.
I love this. I love this this faction breakdown for the team.
The GSC, like we just said, like people who can play that list, you can go to the absolute freaking moon playing if you're a gun on that list. So yeah, confidence in the player, I love it. Back your boy, see how he does. But yeah, these guys are my pick to win the event. Kraken Wargame is my pick. I know a bunch of the players. I'm playing with a bunch of the players, so pressure's on, boys. Better provide now. But yeah, they're my pick.
Adam's watching.
Yeah, and go over and support Kraken Wargame. Look them up on Facebook and all that stuff. They do some beautiful coverage of the New Zealand scene. Last one, Properly Cocked, is the name of this list. This team,
like a shotgun.
First
like
list,
boys.
Steve, Mother effing Joel is first list in this one, playing Imperial Knights. He has a Freeblade Lance with 2 big and 7 smalls. Then we have a Cult Mechanicus build. Mars Skitari Veteran Cohort. It's got 30 little lads, 3 counter assault, and 5 chickens. That's the archetype. Which we could almost call Admech good stuff at this point, because that's pretty much what it is. We have Astra Militarum list. All right. He's got a Calidus Assassin and Greyfax, and he's got 4 Russes, including Pask and Creed. I don't know if this guy is single. If he is, please give me a call. Drop into my DMs. You're in. You're already in. Then we got Asturiani build with it's Ulthway with an avatar, 3 Wraith Lords, 3 Wraith Seers, and 8 Wraith Guard.
It's wow.
I like it. Like, yo, get through this toughness. Get through this healing. You might not do it.
It's taking Asturiani out of the box. It's like, oh, cool. We're not going to go MSU, Halo Doom, bits and pieces everywhere. We're going to go thickness. We're going to be down with this thickness. And then we have just a Necrons, Expansions, and Conquerors, good stuff build. This is an interesting 5-pack because it has 2 like almost aberration lists, being the Cult Mechanicus and the Astra Militarum, which will cause pairing issues for people. And then we have a really off the beaten track Asturiani build. So I quite like this 5-pack. I think it's really interesting.
So I've seen Steve's army on Instagram. He's been painting that as great looking army. If that's representative of some of the other folks on his team, that's going to be an amazing look and roster. Going to feel good, That counts for something.
Absolutely, it is gorgeous. The boy has the man has a beautiful voice, very talented, and also can paint. Like, I mean, if he goes and wins this event and shows that he's like a gun on the table as well, I'm going to be angry. He's going to be like the Hugh Jackman of the 40k scene, just a triple threat.
Just good at everything. Like, okay,
yeah.
What are we here for?
And then folks have forgot. I mean, continue to don't be impressed by Adeptus Mechanicus, and that's how you get your models put back in the box.
Yep,
exactly right. Yeah. I like the duality, like the 2 off the beaten track factions, the Admech and the Guard, both being like, well, if you sleep on us, we're going to table you. And have you got 2 factions that are okay, possibly going second on a light table versus one of these? Because they could just body you. Like turn 1, just body you. I do like that duality built in here. You could easily do that with Tau instead of one of these and have the same effect, or with an extra shooting Knight build and have the same effect. But I love that they've done it in this configuration because it's just cheeky. It's just cheeky.
The Astarani don't mind going second on a light table as well because they can rely on their high toughness, a little bit of resiliency. Just don't have a large footprint on the army too. Could probably hug whatever they've got, and then it's going to be tough to chew through.
Exactly right. But yeah, I like this pack as well. It's got the old reliable Necrons. They're just going to get their points. The Knights are just going to do what they do. And then, yeah, I mean, if you're confident with the pairings, this can be a very hard to handle list for opponents trying to pair into you. Like, what have we got that's good against killing a bunch of Lehman Russes? And it's also good at killing a bunch of Wraith Guard, Wraith Knights, Wraith Seers, and it's good at killing Knights. Like, they're going to get stretched. Like, it's going to stretch.
I guarantee you that most teams and most players are going to look at the Cult Mechanicus, the Astra Militarum, and the Asturiani list, and they're going to misjudge it.
Yeah,
they're going to misjudge each and every one of those.
Yeah. Let me go one step further too. Is that Adeptus Sororitas pairs well into all that stuff, but they ain't there.
That's true. They're not there. Yeah. The other half of the teams.
Yeah, like these lists are prey to some lists that might not exist there at the event. So that's a point in their favor.
The meta perfectly. Like, they just know the meta.
Might be. But with that said, what do you think is taking this? It's going to be hard for me to go against your pick, Adam, especially since you're personally invested in the outcome there.
It's the only team with a genius to their cult army. Obviously, I'm picking it.
Obviously, you're in. Well, when I look at the 5-pack of factions, it makes the most sense to me. They makes the most. This is the good stuff in teams right now.
That's what I was saying too. Like, I think they have the perfect 5-pack. I agree with you. The Necron list makes me a little nervous, but I get why they would do it to get the better differential for it. So the 5-pack of factions is, I think that's premium.
All right, this is the spot in the show where we do, after all of that little crunchy stuff, we talk about tournaments and list and meta and win rates and percents of the maths and all that kind of stuff. We have a segment we call the Fuego
Geometry, algebra.
Yeah, this is a segment where we invite production onto the show. We give ourselves a series of topics. We don't always know what these topics are. We don't. Sometimes they're not 40K related at all. Sometimes they're not even. Look, I'm just looking at the top thing there. We're not even gaming related. We put 2 minutes on the clock, and at the end of that 2 minutes, we stop what we're talking about and move on to the next topic, never to return to that topic again.
Correct.
Richard. Thanks for joining us.
So finite.
All right. Best metal band. End of discussion. Period. Of all time.
The Cybertronic Spree.
Ooh.
I've never even heard of them.
Wow. Oh, you don't mean made of metal. They're Transformers.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, Fuego, you can really do whatever you want, so I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
I'll play them for you after the show. They're amazing.
Fantastic.
Guar. The answer's Guar, by the way.
Oh, okay.
I'm a bit, so when I was growing up, the first metal band that I listened to that really got me was Children of Bodom. In like the late 90s, early 2000s. And then the first Soilwork album was really good. Those two albums, Soilwork lost me later, but those two metal bands I have stuck with. I still listen to their albums, the same ones I listened to in the 90s.
Okay. I mean, I can't believe nobody's saying Metallica.
I'm dodging. I'm dancing around Metallica. Like, oh,
I'm not. There's no way we're going through this question and none of us say Metallica.
I'm not surprised that no one said Metallica.
Wow. What?
Wow. I almost said Slayer.
You were thinking of robots, for God's sake. I don't know why you even have an opinion on this part.
I also almost said Black Sabbath, by the way.
They're not metal.
What are they? Industrial?
Yeah, what would you call them if they're not metal? Rock?
Yeah, what are they?
Yeah.
Are they metal? That's a good question. Is Black Sabbath metal? That'd be a...
Is industrial metal the same?
We'll do that in a couple weeks.
Industrial metal is not the same. No.
That's next week's Fuego.
I remember Cool.
Industrial's
Pearl Jam.
9 Inch Nails, Front 242.
9 Inch Nails, yeah. 9 Inch Nails concert, I almost died when I was like 13. I snuck in. I literally almost died.
I'm glad you made it.
That's a story for another time.
People calling Black Sabbath classical. Also Tool. We did
classical?
Wow,
I said Tool. I just said Tool.
Oh, sorry.
Fuego. Best metallic paint.
Retributor armor.
I have it right here.
What's that?
It's black metal from Vallejo model A.
Gun metal, black metal.
Right there.
Yeah.
So there's
also I've got decayed metal right here from Scale 74. Sorry, Scale.
None of these beat Retributor armor. Retributor armor is the best.
So you have like the Vallejo line there, because I don't know the name of it, but it's the blue metal, the blue metallic.
Yeah.
I
have that.
love
I have that. It's in the
I
ship.
tried like painting a Venom in that just because I loved it.
Does it like sheen and change like different?
It does. It actually, it's gorgeous. If you can find a good model to put that on and use it on, I love that metal. It is a fantastic color.
Joel Adkins has said Vallejo Raw Steel. I'm like, is that a metal band? No.
Yeah,
sounds like it. There's a strong correlation between metal bands and Tolkien names.
As there should be.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. Like, there's some real high percentage of, like, what is it? Is our Amon Amarth? Is that metal? Is that metal? But yeah, that's like a prison in Mordor or whatever.
Gunmetal blue, Dustin.
That's it. Gunmetal blue. Yeah.
Okay.
Took us on a tangent of best metallic paint.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we should probably say Lead Belcher, right? Because everybody's used that at some point.
Lead Belcher is great. It's yeah.
Amon Amarth is an alternative name for Mount Doom in Sindarin.
Are you just googling stuff right now?
I did just Google
you
that.
could
so I
look
was
out.
really-
You can't Google during Fuego.
that are
What's wrong
also
with you?
metal bands. Yeah.
You can't Google
Shush.
during Fuego.
With
Against the
5
rules.
with 5 seconds left, so the Last of the Summer Wine is a TV show that's filmed in the same city or town, I guess, as where the event was to go to. That's a
There you
way
go.
callback. Yeah.
Thank you very much for letting us know.
Yeah. Okay. What medieval weapon would you wield in battle? I assume.
Trebuchet.
Okay.
Just wield a trebuchet. Yeah.
Paul doesn't want to be in the thick of it. I'm just hucking rocks at like 500 yards, man. I don't want to be in there.
There is nothing more intimidating than a flail. Nothing more intimidating than a dude
I
running at you
actually
with a
like
flail.
flails.
Look,
Like,
I've
how do you
seen
block
Braveheart.
that?
I do not want to be up there in the mix. Again, getting this all messed up. You know?
I'd
Gotta protect the face, man. The moneymaker.
Paul's paycheck there.
I'd
Paul's paycheck. Can't mess with his paycheck.
Yeah. So yeah, I like a lance. A lance sounds pretty fun. Like horseback with a lance. Haha, pleb. You know, that sounds pretty good to me.
No
If I'm
great
gonna-
axe? No claymore?
Oh,
Nothing?
I would
No,
go two-handed, like a bastard sword. Two-handed bastard
It would
sword.
sword and board
It's
is actually where I'd be. I'd be
All right.
you know,
That's I'd go sword and board.
or two swords. That's
I
I'd
would
get
need that
myself
defense
killed with
ability.
2 swords for sure. Same
Yeah.
with the flail.
I'd like kill 3 people and then just get mucked.
Yeah.
I'd die really quickly.
I need to have a
Is
shield.
what would happen,
I'd
yeah.
actually was we actually
Two flails.
when I was young, there was like we did like live action like role playing like with swords and stuff. We actually built swords and there was actually rules for it and stuff. It was actually kind of fun. But I actually did a shield and flail at one point, and it was pretty fun.
I would go
twisted up in that.
full flagellant, like naked from the waist up, double flail, and
Oh, I
just
thought
be
you were
like,
going the
if
other
you
way.
get-
I was
if you get hit, it's your own fault, and just run at people, just flagellant style. Die instantly. Everyone will remember you.
That's it. And everybody, the next D&D character you ever make is double flail. That's what you got to
Become a
do.
cautionary tale that people pass on down to their
The guy just like blocked it on his shield, and then the other guy died. Yeah.
Are you going to a Ren Fair this year?
Yes, why not?
Ooh.
I actually like Ren Fair. We got one
Yeah.
in Georgia. It's a great one.
Nice.
Yeah, Ren fairs are cool. I've never been to one in quite a while though. I think
Throw
there's one in Guelph,
axes.
actually.
Yeah, there's one
Throw
in
some
Cape
axes,
Dublin,
eat turkey
actually.
legs.
Really?
I was about to say.
Watch the mud show.
mud
Yeah,
show.
I've only been to like 2 Ren fairs ever, and my most favorite bit is eating a huge hunk of meat over a ditch. It's
Oh, I
just
love
like
that. That's great.
it's the best bit. It's like
It
a
is great.
big hunk of meat on a stick, and just over a ditch, just like being a greasy mess. You know. in
I
my
always
lane.
like the jousting shows that they do. The jousting shows
Yeah.
are really fun.
Yeah, one of my best longtime friends has been the king, for a while. He's not the king anymore. He's retired, but he was,
Oh.
Retired?
for-
You don't
for a bit.
retire as a king.
Yeah.
You get overthrown. Is that what happened to him?
there was a bloody revolt at the Ren
It's a
Fair.
bloody revolt of the Red Fair.
I love it.
They still talk about it. That's why I go. That's what you want to see, right?
That's true.
So,
actually.
just as a side, as a tangent for this one, there is a place near where I used to live called Cryle Castle, which the story goes was initially built to be a brothel, to be a medieval themed brothel, and the guy who was building it ran out of money before his said medieval brothel was completed, and it got bought out and turned into like essentially a theater show. What do you call it?
Is it medieval times? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, like
Okay.
you know, what do you call it? Like a theme park. It got turned into a theme park.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. The joke is that it was supposed to be a brothel. Every time
Oh.
you go, you tell your
That
mates, "Hey, this was going to be a brothel," and they're like, "Oh yeah, cool, yeah."
All right.
Medieval
you go.
Times I always enjoyed going to Medieval Times too. I like it. The one in Vegas, if you go to LVO, there's that Tournament of Kings. I've been to that every single time I go. It's such a good show. Great food too.
Fuego. Most metal faction in 40K.
Chaos Space Marines.
It's gotta
Necrons,
be,
they're-
right?
They're pure metal.
Oh wow.
I get I get thrown under the bus for saying the Transformers.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. This is not metal bands. This is Warhammer we're talking about. These guys are made of metal.
Sons of Malal for me. If we're gonna get really specific, most metal faction ever. Eat their flesh, worship the god of anarchy. Let's get it done. Be forgotten. Actually, it is so. Oh, holy crap! Chaos Space Marine splitting into a bajillion different warbands, as the metal genre has split into a bajillion different genres. It is so apt. That is Chaos Space Marines, actually.
I stand by it.
I actually think orcs, because they fight like they are moshing.
Mhm.
I always just felt like in my head, funnily, that orcs listen to like folk music. Like they're just one with nature. They're just
It
getting in
is.
touch.
They have a totally different soundtrack than what it
Yeah.
is. It's like classical music, just kind of like.
They're all like that. The headsets in. They're like
Yeah.
beating each other, working out, like doing. You think you're listening to death metal, then you pull it off, and it's like
Bit of
Beethoven
Bach.
or something.
Bit of Bach.
Bach.
Just- yeah. I'm down for that.
They're just screaming.
We had
I
some.
mean,
I mean,
gotta
flesh
get down.
we had
flesh
good,
terrors have got to be in consideration, right?
Yeah, well, we got good
All
answers.
Chaos Space Marines, right?
Iron
Uh,
Warriors, Emperor's
In Echoes of
Children.
Eternity, I'm not spoiling anything, but I'm just going to say Amit is a bad Mama Jama.
Mm.
That's all I'm saying.
Nice.
But it's not metal.
Did we solve this one? Is it solved?
I think it's solved.
All right. Who's the biggest metalhead in 40K?
Oh.
Well, we already mentioned that Gaz has that metal plate, literally a part of his head is metal.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
that's
and the
pretty
Goth
metal.
do have rockers.
They do. Yeah, it's true. I mean, also Noise Marines, right?
Noise Marines, I guess they would count, especially the older Noise Marines that actually had
Yeah.
guitars.
They do some sweet licks. You just like
Tick your Noise Marine call out on the show. Yeah.
pop right
Metalhead.
off.
But who would be? So it's got to be. So it's probably going to be an Imperial Fist.
Okay.
Wow.
They have this like
Okay.
reserved
Explain.
exterior, but they probably have just a lot going on
you're going with
inside
like
the
this.
bucket.
Yeah. the
So I'm gonna
stoic-
go with I'm gonna go with Emperor's Champion Sigismund,
Ooh. Yeah.
because he's got an internal soundtrack
Yeah, that is pure
that
violence.
keeps it moving.
Extreme violence. We got
The chin.
Torgaden in
The
chat.
chin.
Yeah. Ooh, there's a lot of good options here. It's actually a phenomenal amount of good options. What would Khan the Betrayer listen to?
He's got to listen to death metal. Like,
Oh,
I mean,
it's
it's
surely,
just
right?
death metal,
No, it
yeah.
is just nails on a chalkboard. That's all he hears.
Well, he's got to
Mhm.
counteract the nails, so it's probably just like woodland sounds, like just birds and
No,
shit.
just louder
Waves.
just louder.
just louder, angry sounds.
It's like someone letting the air out of a balloon slowly.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all he
Oh
hears.
my god.
I think if there's any like named Tau that rides in a riptide, that one right there, because that they just have it blasting inside of with the amount of guns they're shooting off. Like they got to be listening to something like that.
Yeah.
Just like
That's
rocking
fair.
out.
Or it's that Dark Angel in the back. He's in the DJ booth.
Oh
of the
yeah.
Lance
Oh
Pack.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, dead set. Yeah. That's probably that guy.
Like,
Oh, who's the neck? Is it the Nexus? The one that's got the DJ.
Oh, the Nexus.
The Nexus.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
He's got the disco. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
he's got the tape decks going.
Does that?
The discotheque. Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
Look, I think that's our show for this week.
yes.
So if you're new here and your first time listening to us, this is what we do at the end of every show. It's it's a journey, and we appreciate you coming along with us and listening this far. And everybody in the chat, it's great to see you. Yeah, if you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to click some buttons, leave some comments. That is like the easy, free way that you can interact with the show. It kind of tells the aggregators that some people, hey, we're doing something over here. Come check us out. And it is a pleasure. Adam and Dustin, I've really enjoyed this hour with y'all as we do each and every week. This is a live show we do. We also, of course, you get to hear it later. Every Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern. That's all we got today.
That's it.
It's been a pleasure.
Big love to the boys in the chat. And Tony V, Nogel Matthew, Artemis Steve, Joel Atkins. You guys have been churning over. I love to see it.
Anthony Violence Vanilla in there.
Anthony Violence Vanilla.
Good
Let's
luck
go.
in the tournaments this weekend. We will see y'all next week.
See ya.